It started like most bad stories do, with a woman, a house too quiet, and a man who should have turned around and walked away. But I didn't. I was Walter Huff, insurance agent for General Fidelity of Los Angeles, and I knew the business cold. Fire, life, auto, you name it, I'd sold it. I knew how people lied, how they died, and how the numbers never cared. I wasn't looking for trouble that day, just a routine call. Client name, Mr. Nerdlinger, standard auto renewal. He wasn't home. But she was. She came down the staircase like a question mark wrapped in silk. Blonde hair pinned up, eyes like cold champagne, lips painted like a warning sign. "He's not in," she said. "You can talk to me." She didn't mean about insurance. She meant everything else. Her name was Phyllis. Mrs. Nerdlinger. We sat in the living room where everything was soft, expensive, and staged. She lit a cigarette and asked all the wrong questions. What if someone wanted accident insurance for a husband? Well, ma'am, you'd need his signature. What if he couldn't sign? Then we don't sell it. But she wasn't really asking. She was measuring me, watching how far she could push. I should have left then. I didn't. Back at the office, I couldn't get her out of my head. Not just the look of her, but the tone, the tilt of her smile, the way she said accident like she'd already planned it. Next day, she came to me. Alone. She wore a blue dress and a look that could bend steel. "I want a policy," she said, "on Mr. Nerdlinger, with a double indemnity clause." That meant, if he died in an accident, the payout doubled, especially in something rare, like a train wreck. "Does he know you're doing this?" I asked. "He will." Another lie. I filed the policy, had him sign it without a clue what he was holding. Then I lit a cigarette and watched her walk away. I knew the angles. I knew the risk. And I knew right then. I was in. Not for the money, not even for the woman, but because it was perfect. Or so I thought. We didn't talk about love. Phyllis and I, we weren't lovers, not in the way that counts. We were co-conspirators, partners in something darker than desire, something sharper than lust. We met in places people don't ask questions, quiet cafes, parked cars, cheap motel rooms with blinds half shut. Every time, she wore less emotion and more silk. And every time, the plan got clearer. Her husband, Mr. Nerdlinger, was taking a train to Palo Alto in a few weeks. A business trip, routine. He wouldn't come back. We'd make sure of that. I wrote the policy myself. $50,000 with a double indemnity clause for accidental death, particularly death by train. It was a rare clause, rarely claimed, but when it was, it paid double. Phyllis handled him, got him to sign without reading. I delivered it to the office like any other contract, routine. Except nothing about it was. The night of the trip came faster than expected. I was in the back seat of their Packard, hiding under a blanket while Phyllis drove him to the station. He never saw me. He never even looked back. He lit a cigar. He leaned forward, and I wrapped the cord around his neck and pulled. He kicked once, grunted. Then he went still. Phyllis kept driving like she was taking a Sunday ride through hell. We parked near the Glendale freight yard. I changed clothes, his suit, his hat, and slipped a cast over my leg. Limped onto the observation car like a man with a business appointment and too much time. The porter noted me. That was the point. At the bend near the canyon, I stepped out to the back platform. Lifted the body. He was heavier than I expected. He didn't resist. Didn't scream. Just fell. The sound was soft, too soft for what it meant. The porter thought I was sleeping in my berth. By the time they found the body, the insurance company would find nothing but what we left them: a limp, a hat, and a dead man in the dark. Phyllis picked me up at the rendezvous point. She didn't say a word. Didn't have to. We had done it. No stumbles. No blood trail. Just one body and a perfect lie behind us. But even perfect lies have a smell, and the wind was shifting. At General Fidelity, we knew how to smell a lie. The company trained us to read people like ledgers, line by line, mistake by mistake. And no one read finer than Barton Keyes, head of claims, 5'5" of fury and suspicion wrapped in a rumpled suit. He had a nose for fraud like a bloodhound with a hangover. And he was already sniffing. "Train accidents don't pay double unless they're real," he said, flipping through the Nerdlinger file with one hand and lighting a match with the other. "Guy dies on a slow-moving observation car, no witnesses, wife's story full of holes." He puffed. "Something stinks." I played dumb, shrugged, whistled, offered coffee. He waved it off. "The thing is," Keyes continued, "if it's fraud, it's brilliant, too clean. Almost like the guy was already dead before the train moved." My blood froze, but I didn't blink. "You think the wife did it?" "I think she had help." He snapped the file shut. "But we pay out unless we can prove it. You find anything?" "Nothing," I lied. He nodded slowly, then looked at me. Too long, too direct. That night, I met Phyllis. We parked near Griffith Park. The moon was high and the tension higher. "He's on to us," I said. "Not officially, not yet, but he's circling." She lit a cigarette, hands calm. "He can't prove anything." "That won't stop him." She leaned closer. "Let him circle. Let him choke on his own smoke. The money's coming." "You sure?" "The policy is clean. You said so yourself." She was right. Technically. But fraud isn't about ink on paper, it's about people. And Keyes didn't need a loophole. He just needed time. I started sweating every knock on the door, every phone call, every creak of the floorboards. And through it all, Phyllis stayed cool. Too cool. Like she'd done this before, or planned to do it again. Then Keyes called me into his office. Said he'd gotten a tip. A man. A witness. Said someone else had been on that train. Someone who didn't belong. My legs went cold. "I'm going to crack this," Keyes said, voice low. "And when I do, it'll be beautiful." I smiled. But inside, I was already falling. Because once Barton Keyes starts closing in, he never misses. The first crack came from inside. Lola. That was Nerdlinger's daughter. Young, sharp, and 10 times more honest than her stepmother ever pretended to be. She came to the office one afternoon, small and nervous in a faded blue dress. "Mr. Huff, I think something's wrong." "With what?" "With my father's death. With Phyllis." That got my attention. She sat, folded her hands, looked me in the eye like someone searching for an ally and not liking what she found. "Phyllis hated him," she whispered. "She used to argue with him, scream when they thought I wasn't listening, and now he's dead and she's quiet again, smiling again. You think she did it?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. That night, I met Phyllis again. We were parked on a back road, engine off, moonlight cutting through the windshield. "Lola came to see me," I said. She froze, just for a second. "Why?" "She's suspicious, thinks you had a hand in it." "Let her think." "She's not stupid, Phyllis." She turned her head toward me, face blank. "What do you want me to say?" I want to know if there's more you haven't told me. I got a laugh, a short one, cold. You think I'm hiding something from you now? I think you always have. She leaned in close, voice smooth like a noose. You were the one who wanted in. You were the one who said it would be perfect. She wasn't wrong. But I was starting to see how the game worked and how easily I could be replaced. The next day, Keyes called me into his office. Said the tip about the train wasn't just noise. The witness remembers a man with a limp. Said he got on at Glendale and never got off. He stared hard at me. Funny thing is, the limp wasn't listed in the claim. Maybe it didn't matter, I offered. Everything matters. He lit a match. I've been in this business a long time, Huff. I've seen fire claims where the ashes still had teeth. I've seen auto fraud where the license plate told the truth better than the driver. And this one's rotten. He stood. Someone's going to hang for this. And that was when I realized it might be me. The noose was getting tighter. Every time I walked past Keyes' office, I felt it around my neck. He didn't say it outright, but his eyes were doing all the shouting. He was close. Real close. And Phyllis? She was colder now. Distant. Like she'd already started rehearsing life without me. I met her again. Her house. Curtains drawn. Lights low, she opened the door in silk and shadow. What's wrong? She asked. Keyes is digging. She shrugged. Let him. It's not just him anymore. Lola's watching you. She's talking to people. If she goes to the cops, she won't. How can you be so sure? She moved closer. Because I'll handle her. There was something in her voice. Something final. That's when the first real chill ran down my spine. Later, I walked Lola home. She was nervous, glancing over her shoulder every 10 seconds. I don't trust her, she said. I think she did something to my mother, too. What do you mean? My mother didn't die of pneumonia, Mr. Huff. Not really. She got sick after Phyllis became the nurse, and then she died. Fast. I stopped walking. It all clicked. Phyllis wasn't new to this game. She'd been playing long before I showed up with my clipboard and smooth pitch. Back at the office, Keyes laid down the hammer. We're not paying the claim. What? You heard me. I convinced the board, told them it smells like fraud, and we don't throw money into the wind. But we don't have proof. Not yet. But if we wait long enough, liars always talk, or slip, or kill again. He looked at me, softer this time. Be honest with me, Huff. You'd tell me if you knew something, wouldn't you? I couldn't look at him. Of course. He believed me. God help me, he believed me. That night, I met Phyllis one more time. Same road, same car, same cold heart. It's unraveling, I said. They're not paying. It's done. She lit a cigarette. Then we make sure it's not. Meaning? Meaning we take care of the loose ends, starting with Lola. No, she's a child. So were you once. She turned, eyes flashing. Are you in or out, Walter? I didn't answer, because I already knew. I was out. But getting out of this? Wouldn't be clean. Wouldn't be safe. Wouldn't be easy. It was all starting to rot. Every move I made, I left a footprint in wet cement. Every breath felt like it echoed. The silence wasn't silence anymore. It was watching. Phyllis wanted Lola gone. I wanted Phyllis gone. And Keyes, he wanted the truth, boxed up and signed with blood. I met Lola again, this time at a diner near Wilshire. She was pale, nervous, twisting her coffee spoon like it owed her money. She's following me, she said. Phyllis. Her car was parked outside my school. I saw her in the rearview mirror all the way to here. You need to disappear for a while. Where? Anywhere but here. She nodded, eyes glassy. She trusted me. God help her. Back at the office, Keyes called me in again. He paced while I sat. The whole thing is unraveling. Nerdlinger didn't have a limp. No record, no reason. The man on the train, not him. He stopped and looked at me. Really looked. You know something, Walter. I can feel it in my bones. You're running cold on me. I lit a cigarette just to keep my hands busy. You're wrong. Then help me, he said. Help me prove it. His voice cracked, just a little. Not anger. Hurt. That's when I knew. He saw me like a son, and I was stabbing him in the back, slow and steady. That night, Phyllis called. Said she needed to see me. Insisted. We met in her living room. Lights dimmed, a phonograph scratching out jazz from another lifetime. She poured drinks. Didn't touch hers. Lola's afraid, I said. You've been following her. She's in the way. So am I, not to me. She moved close. Too close. I didn't back up, not yet. We can run, she said. Go to Mexico. I have cash. You'd shoot me the second we crossed the border. She smiled faintly, didn't deny it. Then why did you come tonight? To see if you'd finally tell the truth. And if I didn't, then I'd tell mine. She stared at me, eyes narrowing. And that's when I saw her hand under the pillow. I moved first. The gun went off. Once. Her shot missed. Mine didn't. She staggered, dropped the pistol, fell onto the rug without a sound. I stood there, sweating, bleeding from the shoulder, shaking, but still standing. And Phyllis? She wasn't. She was dead. Phyllis. Lying in silken shadow, a curl of smoke still hanging in the room like her final thought. One shot to the chest, neat, final. And me. I stood there, bleeding through my shirt, gun in my hand, heart pounding like a runaway train. I didn't feel relief. Didn't feel anything. Just hollow. I wiped the gun, left it in her hand, staged the room like a bad tragedy. The neighbors would hear nothing. Those walls were thick and secrets even thicker. I slipped out the back. My car waited, cold and quiet, like it didn't want to be involved. I drove, fast. Back at my apartment, I bandaged my shoulder and stared at the ceiling, like it might tell me how this all started. A woman, a question, a policy, a plan, and now a murder. But not the one we plotted. The one I had to make. The next morning, I went to Keyes. He didn't notice the blood under my sleeve. Or maybe he did and let it slide. I have something to tell you, I said. He raised an eyebrow. Finally. I sat down, lit a cigarette with shaking fingers, and told him everything. From the first question in the Nerdlinger living room to the last bullet in Phyllis Dietrichson's chest. No spin, no polish. Just the truth. When I finished, the room was quiet. Keyes didn't say anything for a long time. Then he lit his own cigarette. You're a damn fool, Walter. I know. Why'd you tell me? Because you were going to find out anyway, and because I didn't want you finding out from a badge. He nodded. What now? I run. How far? Not far. He sighed. You could have told me sooner. I couldn't. You could have trusted me. I couldn't even trust myself. We shook hands. No hard feelings. Just regret. He gave me 10 hours before he called the police, said I earned that much. Maybe he was right, maybe not. I drove to the coast, looked out at the ocean. It was calm. The kind of calm that swallows men like me whole. I left a note for Lola at a gas station halfway there. Told her the truth, or as much of it as she needed. Told her to live her life. Told her to forget mine. Because in the end, this wasn't about justice. It wasn't about insurance, it was about a man who thought he could beat the system. And a woman who taught him how fast you fall when you start counting bodies instead of questions. The road out of Los Angeles was long and narrow, the kind that feels like it's chasing you as much as you're running from it. I didn't have a plan, just a gas tank, a blood-soaked shoulder, and too many memories riding shotgun. I stopped at a diner near San Luis Obispo. Black coffee, no sugar. The waitress didn't ask about the bandage. That was fine by me. I watched the payphone in the corner like it might ring. It didn't. I drove until the sun dipped behind the ocean and the world turned silver. Then I checked into a beach motel under a false name. The clerk didn't look up. Didn't care. You can disappear easy when you've got nothing left. But the guilt, that didn't check out so easy. It stayed. In the mirror. In the silence. In the sound of waves that felt more like whispers saying, "You did this." I turned on the radio. They were talking about the Nerdlinger case. Again. They'd found Phyllis. Declared it suicide, a gun beside her. A closed case. No mention of me. Not yet. Maybe Keyes kept his word. Maybe he gave me a head start. Or maybe the cops were waiting, already knocking on the next motel door down the highway. I pulled out a piece of hotel stationery and wrote another note. To Keyes. You were right. You always were. You saw it coming, even when I didn't. I don't know if I'm asking for forgiveness or just trying to confess one last time. Either way, I'm sorry. For all of it. I folded it, addressed it. I slipped it under the clerk's glass bell with a $10 bill. Mail this tomorrow. Sure thing, he mumbled. I walked back to the car, sat in the driver's seat, engine off. Watched the waves crash in slow rhythm. That's when I saw her. A figure in the mirror. Not Phyllis. Not Lola. But Keyes. He stepped out from the shadows behind the building, hands in his coat, looking like he'd aged 5 years in 5 days. You drive like hell, Walter, he said, lighting a match against the wind. You followed me? I figured you'd go west. You always do when you're guilty. I nodded. Didn't argue. Didn't move. I gave you time, he said. Now it's over. Yeah. He looked at me, eyes tired, jaw set. Ready to go back? I've been ready since I pulled the trigger. We sat in silence for a while. Then I turned the key. The engine rumbled. And for the first time in weeks, I knew exactly where I was headed. Home. Or something like it. We didn't say much on the drive. Keyes rode shotgun. Hands folded, eyes fixed on the road like he was reading my guilt in every mile marker. I kept my hands steady on the wheel. Outside, California rolled past. Neon motels, dusty gas pumps, orange groves sleeping under smog-stained skies. Inside, nothing but silence. And smoke. About an hour out of Los Angeles, Keyes broke it. You know I should have turned you in the minute you confessed. So, why didn't you? I don't know. Maybe I needed to see how far you'd go. Maybe I hoped you'd find your own rope. I did. He looked at me sideways. Was it worth it? I thought about Phyllis. The cold smile, the soft silk, the empty eyes. I thought about Lola and the way she trusted me with a truth I didn't deserve. No? Then why? I didn't answer. Because the truth is, men like me don't fall for women like Phyllis. We jump. Back in the city, the skyline was dark and familiar, like an old friend that never liked you much. We pulled into the back lot of General Fidelity. The office windows were black, empty. Keys nodded at the side door. Nobody's here, just us. I followed him upstairs. Everything was quiet. Dust settled on old files. My name still stenciled on the frosted glass. "We'll call the DA tomorrow," he said. "Tonight, you write it down." "What?" "Your story. Start to finish. Paper doesn't lie. And maybe it'll make sense to someone." I sat behind my old desk. The chair creaked like it remembered me. Keys dropped a yellow pad and pen in front of me. Then he turned to leave. "Where are you going?" "Out," he said. "To get some sleep. You should try it sometime." He paused at the door. "You know, Walter, for a smart guy, you were real dumb." I smiled. "Just a little. That's why it happened, Keys." He shook his head and left. I stared at the blank page, lit a cigarette, and started writing. I killed a man for money and a woman. I didn't get the money. And I didn't get the woman. Pretty much all I got left is this pad and the truth. So here it is. The words came slow at first, then faster. Truth has a rhythm. Once it starts, you just hang on and hope it doesn't drown you. I wrote about Phyllis. The silk robe, the smile with no soul behind it. The questions that weren't questions. About Nerdlinger, how he never saw it coming. And about the train. The limp, the fall, the sound his body made when it hit the bottom. I wrote it all. Then I lit a cigarette and stared at what I'd done. Around 3 a.m., the city hummed its usual lullaby. Sirens, tires on wet asphalt, and a neon buzz from the diner across the street. I watched it all from the office window. Keys would take the confession to the DA. They'd file charges. I'd be headline fodder for a week, then a courtroom ghost. Maybe a cell, maybe worse, but at least it'd be real. There was a soft knock at the door. Lola. I hadn't seen her since San Luis. She looked older, harder. Not the girl who'd asked for help. Now she just looked like someone who needed closure. "You're turning yourself in," she said. "Yeah." She nodded, stepped in slowly. "I read your note. I figured." She looked at the yellow pad on my desk. "Do you regret it?" "Which part?" "All of it." I didn't speak, because the answer was yes, and also no. I regretted getting caught. I regretted pulling the trigger. A part of me, some small, dying ember, still burned for the thrill of it all. The planning, the danger, the lie so perfect it almost lived. "I loved him," she said. "My father, I know. And I loved you too, for a while. Don't. It's okay, it's over." She kissed my forehead, light, cold. Then she left. Didn't look back. I folded the pages, slid them into an envelope, and wrote one name on it. Barton Keys. Because if anyone deserved to have the whole story, it was him. He was the only honest thing in this crooked business. And the last man who still thought I could be saved. The sun started to rise. The light came through the blinds like prison bars. And I didn't flinch, because I wasn't running anymore. The morning came up yellow and dry. I sat by the window, watching the city start its routine. Delivery trucks, newsboys, street sweepers, all moving like the world hadn't just fallen apart in one insurance office. My shoulder ached. My head was quiet. The kind of quiet that only comes after you've said everything you needed to say, and there's nothing left to do but wait. Keys showed up just after 8. No sirens, no cops. Just him. Worn hat, tired eyes, a folder in one hand and my envelope in the other. He walked in like he owned the place. I suppose, in a way, he did. "You finished it?" he asked. I nodded. He sat down across from me, opened the envelope, read the first page. Didn't say a word for a long time. Then, "You really thought you could pull it off?" "I did pull it off. You just didn't stick the landing." "Nobody ever does." He folded the letter, slid it back in. "You're lucky I'm the one holding this." "Why?" "Because I'm not interested in feeding newspapers or watching vultures with badges line up for scraps." "So what happens?" "We go down to the station, quiet. You make a statement. I file the report. You get booked." "And the letter?" He held it up. "It goes in the file, for the record, not the press." I nodded. "Thank you." "Don't thank me." He stood. "You ready?" "I've been ready since Glendale." We walked out together. Past the desks, past the filing cabinets, down the elevator where I once made sales calls and lunch jokes. Now, I was a headline waiting for ink. And beside me, the only man who still gave a damn. We stepped into the sunlight. It was sharp, hot. Keys flagged down a cab. "You want to say goodbye to the place?" he asked. "I already did, last night." The cab rolled up. He opened the door. I paused. Looked at him one last time. "Keys?" "Yeah?" "You were the best man in the room, every room." He smiled, tired. "You were the smartest guy I ever met, Walter. But smart guys don't always win." "No," I said. "They just fall harder." And with that, I got in. The door shut. The cab pulled away. No sirens, no cuffs. Just the sound of rubber on pavement and the slow hum of justice catching up. They booked me just before noon. No fanfare. No flashing cameras. Just fingerprints, forms, and a cold cell that smelled like sweat and forgotten names. I didn't fight it. Didn't ask for a lawyer. Didn't ask for mercy. Because mercy was something I'd thrown out the window the night I met Phyllis Dietrichson. The letter Keys filed with my confession made its way up the ladder. There'd be no trial. Just headlines. Insurance man confesses to double murder. Femme fatale, found dead in love murder scheme. You know the type. The kind with bold fonts and none of the truth. Keys came to see me one last time. He stood on the other side of the bars with his hands in his coat pockets and a look that didn't quite hide the ache in his gut. "You'll get life," he said. "Seems fair? You could have had it all, Walter." "I did, for 10 minutes. We both laughed. It wasn't funny, just inevitable. He handed me a newspaper through the bars. Folded to the obituary section. Nerdlinger. A picture of the man I'd killed. A paragraph of polite lies. He had no idea how many lives he'd cost by simply being married to the wrong woman. "I'm not coming back after this," Keys said. "I've got work to do, real claims, real people. I wouldn't blame you if you never spoke my name again." He looked at me hard. "That's not the point." "Then what is?" "The point is, I still don't understand why you did it." I leaned forward, hands on the bars, eyes steady. Because I thought I was smarter than the system, because I was bored, because she looked at me like I mattered. And now I get what the system was for. He left without another word. Didn't look back. Didn't have to. Because some endings are better that way. Clean, cold, final. That night, I lay on the cot staring at the ceiling. No shadows. No whispers. Just the hum of the world outside. Living. Moving on. Without me. Double indemnity. 2 times the payout. 2 times the loss. 1 for love. 1 for the lie. And in the end, I didn't get either. Just the bill. Because some endings are better that way. Clean, cold, final. That night, I lay on the cot staring at the ceiling. No shadows. No whispers. Just the hum of the world outside. Living. Moving on. Without me. Double indemnity. 2 times the payout. 2 times the loss. 1 for love. 1 for the lie. And in the end, I didn't get either. Just the bill.